Hi everyone, it's Miss Jones. Welcome to the art activity for this week. In class, we talked about the element of art, line. Line is pretty much the most basic element of art. It's really hard to make something without using lines. So we talked about different types of lines, and this week our activity is going to be using lines to create an optical illusion. And that means creating something that looks three-dimensional on a two-dimensional surface. So what you're going to need today is a piece of paper. I'm using a colored piece of paper, but you can use a white blank piece of paper if you would like. You're also going to need a pencil. Just a regular number 2 pencil is good. You're going to need a ruler or a straight edge today, something you can make a straight line with. So I like to use the edges of boxes or books if I don't have a ruler with me. That will also work to help you today. You're also going to want to have a big eraser. So we're going to be erasing kind of large areas. So a big eraser is nice to have for that. You can also use the end of your pencil if you'd like. That'll work too. And then the last thing you're going to need is a marker, at least one marker. Make sure it stands out on your colored paper. So you might want to like test it in a corner to make sure that it will stand out if you have colored paper. All right, so I'm going to show you how to make this optical illusion. But first, I'm going to have you cut your paper in half. So you can use the whole paper if you'd like. You can use a full-size sheet of paper, but it kind of takes a while. So you may need to, if you would like to use a full size, you can, but I'm going to cut mine so that it won't take as long because it's a little bit of a tedious process. So you can fold it in half, and you can use scissors to cut along this line. But if you don't have scissors, you can kind of fold your paper a few times and crease it. Probably like 3 or 4 times. And then you can kind of pinch the edge and kind of start to rip down that seam. It should become easier as it gets farther down. Be really careful though, pull on the edges so that it doesn't rip your paper all of a sudden. So now I have 2 halves and I'm just going to use one today. So I'm going to show you how to do this optical illusion with a pretty simple shape. You can do any shape you want, but for this, I would first follow along with the shape that I do, and then after you get the hang of it, you can kind of experiment and use your own shape and picture. So I'm going to just do a heart. So I'm going to draw a big heart, nice and light. So you'll want to do this pencil drawing really light. If you press too hard, it will be hard to erase later. So I'm gonna do a nice big heart shape kind of in the center of my piece of paper. And maybe clean it up a little bit if there's a lot of like sketch marks. You can kind of change your shape a little bit if you'd like. There we go. So now we have our shape that we're going to use. So now what I'd like you to do is grab your ruler, and we're going to start just making straight lines down our entire page. So we'll start at the top here. And these should be, these kind of lines should maybe be about a centimeter apart, I would say. But they really don't need to be perfect. They should be straight across the entire page, but it's not necessary to go and try and measure out every single line so that they're exactly the same. And once you kind of get to your heart, you're just gonna draw right over the top of it. Remember to make these lines super light. So the same kind of light hand you did with your, the light marks you did with your heart, do the same thing with your lines. It's okay if some lines are fatter than the others. It's okay if some of your lines aren't perfectly straight either. And you'll want to do these lines all the way down to the bottom of your page. Perfect. So now you should have lines going all the way down your page. It kind of looks like a lined piece of paper. Now what I'd like you to do is take your eraser and we're going to erase any of the lines within your heart shape. So you'll want to have the heart kind of surrounded by lines, but no lines inside of it. I might have to redraw some of your sides again just to make sure it stays together. Good. So now our heart inside is blank and we have lines what looks like all behind it. So now what you're going to do to create this illusion is you're going to find the bottom line here. So the first line that stops on the edge of your heart. So you're going to put your pencil on the connecting lines of the straight line and the edge of your heart. And you're going to draw a slightly curved line that ends at the intersection of the edge of your heart in this line here. So you're going to draw a curved line, slightly curved line from one intersection to the other side of your heart. And it should connect to this other straight line on the other side. And you're going to do that all the way up with each line. So start at one edge of the heart and kind of curve over to the other edge. And remember to do these really light because we're going to go over them and erase them. And do that for all the lines that go through your heart. Once you get to the top part here where you kind of have this divot in your heart, you'll want to make sure that you go from this edge to this edge and stop. And then take this edge and go back to that edge. So there's this little line here, you'll take it from there and go over to that other line intersecting. Perfect. So now we've got kind of these curved lines inside our heart and these straight lines outside of it. So now we have our basic sketch and we're going to go over these lines with our markers. So I like to start with the lines inside of my shape first and just overlap those, the lines I just drew. Be sure you don't outline your shape. You just want to do the lines inside your shape. And now what you're going to do is take your ruler again and you're going to go over those straight lines that go behind your heart. Once you get to where your heart lines are, you want to make sure to stop at the edge of your heart. So your lines should connect to them. So So you're going to connect those lines, edges, to the ones inside of your heart. And you're gonna finish out your lines to the bottom. I noticed I didn't have a line here and it looks kind of like a weird gap. So I'm gonna fill that in. All right, and after you have all of your lines done, you're going to erase, use your big eraser to start erasing those pencil marks. So if you're using a big sheet of paper, be careful when you're erasing because it can kind of push up your paper and wrinkle it. So what I like to do is kind of hold my paper and then pull my eraser down away from the hand that's holding the paper. And you can kind of move it, make it a little bit closer, and that'll stop your paper from curling up. You can kind of wipe away the shavings. Whoop. And there you have it. So now you have kind of this optical illusion where it looks like a heart is busting through your lined piece of paper. So after you finished your heart, you can always do other shapes. So here I did a cat, I did a leaf. You can add things inside of it. Test out, try some different shapes if you like, to see how they turn out. And then please post a picture of your shape, whether it's the heart or something else you've done, onto Seesaw Schoology. I'd love to see it and see that you attended class or followed along with this video. Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this activity, and now you have a cool trick that you can impress people with. Bye.